Hello and welcome to another episode of the Customer Acquisition Show. We're glad you're here. I'm Daniel Green, filling in for Tom Meredith today. He's out of office, so I'm here with our team of Google experts, or as I like to call them, and maybe you don't like to be called, Googlers. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
All good. All good.
It's good to see all of your faces. It's been a while. Nick's been traveling the globe. I feel like Ollie's been traveling the globe too. Rasha, I don't know if you've been traveling. I assume everybody travels but me.
I'm with you, Daniel. Don't worry.
Yeah, glad you guys are here. I mean, there's not much to say other than Google's had a few changes over the past few months, and I think it's great that we do this monthly show where we dig into Google Ads. So let's just jump right in. I think one of the big changes that we talked about ahead of time today was that the dashboard is getting a little bit of a facelift, I guess you would say. What's everybody's thoughts on that?
Yeah, the dashboard change it sounds like it's not a big deal. Like it's okay, they're changing some colors, moving some things around, but it's such a distinct change that it's the way they've laid things out is it's a really big change to make. And there's still the option to go back to the old layout if you like for a while. But the way they've laid things out, it's almost like now with Google Analytics 4, they're trying to make the user interface very unified across all their tools. So anyway, there are some other things some changes in the dashboard, which I'll let Rasha and Ollie talk about, but Google will do this and there's always a reason behind it. So that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah, I'm not
Definitely.
yet very used to it. I just glance over it. Yeah, like Nick said, it really kind of merging with the GA4 look, and but it remembers me. I remember the all time. I'm a veteran when we switched from the very old AdWords interface and the actual one, and I was a little bit reluctant to change, and I was always going back to the old version. But I think the best way to handle it is like when they propose you the new one, you have to get used to the new one. I guess it's the best way to do it. But maybe Rashna, you have more. Yeah.
It's one of that time again, just gotten used to any change that Google brings around. We just have to get along with it. Like, we have any option? No. We have to roll with it. There is a learning curve for it, and making sure that that learning curve is not affecting the ad account, because now the feature that was so obviously there under the setting is going to be hidden somewhere. So you're going to be playing a little bit of hide and seek here and there. And the first 5 days, you'll be like, where am I spending all my budget? And you're like, what's gone wrong? But then you'll have to deep dive. This has happened with me, I'll be honest with you. There was one of the settings that Google just hidden from me, and I'm just scratching my head like, where is my mind going? Like, all of the campaigns, spending the budget, and it's like, what is happening? And then I showed it to Nick. It's like, it's really tricky. It's Google's made it like it's like Google's 10th page where nobody goes on the search engine results page is what's happening with Google Ads interface, you know. And then I dig deep, and then I realize, oh my God, Google.
That's funny. Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's changes like this always confuse me. Obviously, I'm not deep into Google by any means, so like I hardly even know what the interface looks like. But I just know like when I update things and things change, there is that learning period.
Yeah.
Excuse me, where it's just you genuinely like, where did this go? Why does this work the same but somehow work differently? So to Ollie's point, though, I think that's true. Is I'm stubborn when it comes to like video editing, for instance. I'm stubborn. I still do things old ways, even if somebody shows me new ways. But I also know that eventually, like, Adobe's gonna just make something completely obsolete and I'm going to have to adapt. So I think there's something to be said for embracing the change for sure. So
Right.
changes like this though, I mean, to your point, like it's one thing to not find anything, but I would assume there's maybe some issues that could come along with this of potentially like automated flows or something like that.
Yeah,
getting
well,
screwy, right?
Chris Mercer made a really good analogy with the Google Ads dashboard. He likened it to an airplane cockpit. And I've never flown a plane, but in movies, I've seen all of the different, you have the different dials, the different controls, different levers, and you get very familiar and comfortable about where to find things quickly. And that familiarity helps you be efficient. They make a change like this. It's you reach for something, oh, that's not there anymore. We've got to find it, we've got to readapt. So there's that part of it. And the reason Google's doing this though is what's can only guess as to only Google knows for sure. But why would they make a change like this besides just the colors, which the color scheme is new, but some of the features that you would find together are now in different sections. And I don't want to go too far into the weeds here because it does get technical, but the keywords and the search terms are now separated. They used to be together. So for those who are not, so familiar with Google advertising, keywords are like what we guess, what we expect people are searching for, that we enter. I like to use them like magnets. As the analogy is, they're like magnets. We put them there. We're trying to attract as closely as possible the people who are searching for things close to that keyword. So for example, searching for dog shampoo, somebody might type in shampoo for my corgi, or my Shih Tzu, okay? Shampoo for Shih Tzus. And that's close to dog shampoo, okay? So we're always like trying to write these keywords, but the actual search terms are what people are actually entering into the Google search bar. Those two views used to be right next to each other because you look at the keywords, okay, here's our keywords. Now underneath, if we want to see the search terms and how close we are or what kind of search terms we're attracting, we click that next view. Those are separated now, which is really interesting because there's a theory that's been discussed that we may be heading towards a keywordless future in Google Ads, which is there would be no bigger change other than maybe Performance Max than if we were to move to a keywordless Google Ads. That would be massive.
Google actually used that word in the presentation. I don't recall exactly, but they did use a few, there's a huge change coming, and they did refer to a keywordless campaign targeting.
What would that even look like though? I mean, from your perspective, like obviously you could say it's a big change, but like how much is that going to affect like everything you guys do on a daily basis?
It would affect things in a I don't know the word. It would change like pretty much everything we do, because I see it may move towards what may be called keyword signals, where you may still input a bunch of keywords into the campaign, but Google just uses that as a starting point. And then it'll go beyond those and, oh, this is what you really meant, and then start adding its own, but we might not even see what the keywords it's adding. So it's going to become more of a black box. So I think it's actually going to get to the point where we're pretty much providing the product, the creative assets as a starting point, and then Google's going to go off and create more with, AI generated copy, headlines. I think that's the future we're heading towards.
We are actually seeing those changes come to the dashboard. So if you launch a YouTube campaign earlier, you were able to select audiences, but now you're not able to do that. The same interface that we have for the audience signals of Performance Max is the interface for YouTube ads, like YouTube campaigns. If you select your audiences, you have to create an audience, like how we create one for Performance Max, like audience signals. And so that change is already starting to see in the interface, and that will ultimately result in, like, you can only give signals now. You cannot ask that particular audience to not expand, you know. So that change is already I'm seeing in the interface, and that can definitely happen.
So
Yeah.
changes are coming is what's happening. Changes are for sure coming. From a tactical side of things, what is something that you could be or should be doing right now to kind of start adjusting, if there is anything? I mean, maybe there's not something you could be doing and you just kind of have to roll with the punches until then. But what, from a tactical standpoint, could somebody be doing to, prepare and get ready for these types of changes?
There's a great
Stay
new
up to
video.
date.
Yeah, stay up to date. And there's a great new video officially released by Google. Happens to feature our good friend Qasim Aslam and a panel of Google product liaisons and other, I think even product engineers in Google. But it's mainly about what we're talking about here, the future of search advertising. But they're talking a lot about some of these things, not going as far as we've gone today and talking about just everything's, so moving towards so much automation. But there's a feature in Google Ads now that's been around for quite some time, and it's called a broad match keyword. And this is this is quite interesting for those who aren't so familiar with Google Ads. But just say I sell coffee mugs, okay, and this is made of some kind of cool material, like I know I can't think of a cool material, but like it's like epoxy resin. No, I think epoxy resin. Okay, like I have a surfboard made of epoxy resin, and okay, imagine this coffee cup's made of epoxy resin. Probably would be really toxic, but anyway, just say for some reason those cups are made and they sell really well. Okay, so you could put epoxy resin coffee cup. That would be exactly what people are looking for. But what broad match does, if you put epoxy resin coffee cup, it's going to go out and look at the intent of what people are searching for, and pretty much almost to the point it will ignore what they're actually typing in. So if somebody searches for unique coffee cup for a gift, okay, epoxy resin coffee cup, that doesn't come around every day. We might show an ad to those people. And it might even go further. Somebody's just searching for unique gift for my mother, okay? And Google's like, this is a pretty unique product here. Maybe we can show that. And it's been confirmed that broad match can go so broad that if somebody's searching for movie tickets, but if Google sees the signals that they may convert, they may buy if it shows an ad for something completely different, like epoxy resin coffee cup, even when they're searching for movie tickets, it will. So that's how broad match is going. And it's something that with clients, we really make a big effort of educating on this, because it's things like, you may look in your ad account and see some search terms which are seemingly not relevant at all to what you're selling. But with broad match, Google's it's learning from what's not getting clicks as well as what is getting clicks. So as long as those search terms don't have a lot of spend on them, it's okay with broad match. Whereas previously the old way was you'd be in there like whack-a-mole, just trying to see any search that wasn't relevant to what you were selling. You're just adding those as negatives. telling Google, don't show ads for this, show ads for this, show ads for this. We've evolved beyond that. And now Google has a goal, and we have to lean into its machine learning and algorithms to reach that goal.
Daniel, I'll simplify it for you. So Google knows
Thank
you
you.
better than your significant other. Okay,
Yeah.
so what do you like? What color do you like? What are you more likely to buy? Google knows better than you itself. Like even you don't know what you're even looking for.
Yeah,
But
what does
Google
Cosm
knows.
say? It's like 72 million points of data on every person. Something, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like thinking about that. That's a little scary. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying though is, I mean, a lot of it's coming back to leaning into the algorithm and, you know, really embracing that change. Cause I mean, we saw that with Performance Max when they released that. It's kind of the same thing. Anthony commented earlier and was saying that Performance Max, you know, may be the pilot for where Google is heading with keyword lists. So yeah, it's an interesting thought, and sounds like we just need to lean in. Ollie, I think you're muted if you're trying to talk. Yeah, I think Ollie's still
I don't think we can hear you, Ollie.
We're having audio issues with Ollie's microphone.
There we go. We heard something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, it's better.
We're back.
Yeah. Let's go there. Like this. Sorry. I'm still afraid about this keyless, especially for low volume, or it's like always come back to lead gen, but for e-commerce, it might be easier to find with broad match, but for lead gen, you still want to be a little bit granular on the words, and if it's a low volume, I find it hard for the algorithm to understand what we want. So if you go for example, we go for a small campaign to try to find a specific, I go for law firm, a specific case, you would have problem because you're not going to put broad match and having all kind of different keyword for something that's just specific. That's what I'm scared with a keyless strategy. Yeah, I can understand where there's a lot of volume. Google.
That's a really good point.
All of it.
Yeah, because if you have a niche like personal injury law, it's you're paying sometimes. You can pay several hundreds of dollars per click just for one click, and in those cases, you don't. All Google's AI works so well off volume, but when you're getting, you're paying several $100s per click, you're not getting as many clicks, and you need to bid, you need to adjust those bids manually. It's really a case where to win, because it's so competitive, you need to be better at the manual bidding. And that's going to be really interesting to see how Google Ads, is impacted in that space.
And it's not only
remove...
like for car, it's like for for personal injury, you can have some volume because of there's a lot of car accident in a state or various region. But when you do something really specific, like in the past, we used to do the church abuse as an example. It's like it's specific people. It's not that many people who are going to do it. So it's hard if you put something broad to find that. It's not only for that. If you go, for example, if you go in real estate and you want to rent a specific type of house in a specific region, it's the broad is going to put all kind of different keywords like all inclusive, and you don't want all inclusive. You want luxury. Then it just go all inclusive, or it go to hotel and you are rent. So you still have to negate those one. It's pretty hard too. Even with insurance, all those niche that are very expensive but are very specific. It's it's going to be really hard with a keyless in a keyless area. So I know I'm doing
Well,
like
that too, even
the opposite. What
when we
God?
when we think about keywordless, like we know Google doesn't introduce something or take away something in just like a flick. It goes with the transition. First, you'll be able to create text ads, but then now you're not able to create text ads, and then it will take it away. So with keywordless, what we are already seeing is that all the match types are not as strictly as match types. Like the phrase is not phrase anymore, like we used to know. And so it's already like we are seeing there is so much of variety between the search terms, whatever match type we use. So that is going to go away. I think before keywordless, the negative keywords are something that's going to go away first, and then the match types are going to go away. And then Google is going to push you towards audience signals created by keywords, and then take away keywords. So that is going to be broken down into stems. And so we have to transition through that step that Google's going to introduce.
Yep.
Gotcha. Well, I'll be the first to admit I know very little about Google Ads, which is why I'm have the three of you here, because I get to ask you questions. So it's springtime. April is tomorrow. I live in Oklahoma. I think one of the things on the top of everybody's mind is it's tornado season here. So just with all the stuff we've been talking about, like keywordless ads and, leaning into algorithms and changes in dashboards, I think one of the highly competitive spaces here in Oklahoma, as a hypothetical example of a business, is a roofing company. This is their busy season, but there's a ton of competition, potentially very low ad budgets. But I think roofing guys, a lot of their business comes around. They send somebody door to door. They're doing everything they can. But how does all of this affect a business like that, where it's maybe a competitive space, very busy seasonally, but potentially low budgets? I would imagine that affects, we kind of alluded to this earlier, like somebody who's got a massive budget, massive company, they've got money they can play with. They've got stuff they can work with. But
I think there's a few things. You go, Ollie.
Go on. Yeah, it's just that it's there, that broad strategy could be interesting for such a company, because when you go broad, like Nick Rashna explained, you try to get the conversion. So probably Google know when it's going to convert. So you're going to pay less than if you do some phrase where you have a lot of competition. So you have to be in the top 3, you're going to pay a lot. But with broad, it's going to more searching for the conversion instead of always want to bid high for to win. It's more toward. So I think with a small budget, I would go broad for that kind of company.
And it's a lot of factors go into this too when it's competitive. So you've got to assume that all other things are equal. So say you have 2 companies, they're both very quick to respond to inquiries. Okay, because if it's roofing season, somebody either needs to replace their roof to get ready, or their roof's been damaged, and if they call or submit a form on a site, and it takes the first company 2 days to get back to them, when the second company gets back to them within the hour, who do you think is going to get the business? If all else is equal, with the prices. So with Google Ads, it really only makes sense to be first, to bid and show up first, if you're able to respond quickly and fulfill. So, Google Ads can't fix things like if the sales team is missing calls or not responding in a timely manner and getting back. So that's what Google Ads can't fix. But if all those things are in place and you're looking to really dominate the market, if you get your Google Ads right and you're going to be the first when people go to Google search, which they do when they need to solve a problem, and you're showing up first because you've got your Google ads right, then that is really going to support your business to continue to get more of those leads, more of that business, and grow. So that's where, as we move into the future, if we're looking at this, this key, we're really trusting the machines more. Google Ads is still going to be important, but all those other things have to be in place too. So not sure if that answers your question, but
it's gonna be tough to say.
Yeah,
If they don't have much budget, always being first is gonna be tough also.
Yeah, that's,
exactly.
that's
I
kind of
think
what I was
for-
thinking.
That's quite hard, yeah.
For the local campaigns, that is one step to move forward with. Local campaigns is where you have to really optimize. That's local SEO that helps your local campaigns. The only problem with the local campaigns is that you cannot expand that strategy. As you said, that there's a competition, and then you cannot rely on just alone with the local campaigns, because you cannot decide. There are only 3 placements at the top, and then you have to be at the top, but that depends on your entire SEO, on your how many stars you've got, how many reviews you've got on your Google My Business. But when it comes to the competition, the manually set up like Google Ads, like the search ads, is where the competition is also going to be very high, and if the competition is high, everybody has come to the search ads, and obviously if the local competition is high, the search ads are also going to be high, the CPCs are going to be high. You've got to have a better budget to ramp up that strategy. Honestly, the lower budget, the bigger time for you to learn what's working, what's not working. So that initial push is with good budget is all only going to help you ramp up learning, understand what's the lowest CPC or the highest CPC, what keywords are working in that sense. So high competition, I think, for local is something that you need to have good budget if you're stepping into the search ads side.
And when you think about it, like Google Ads, when you're in the local, you're in the space that trying to dominate your local market, it's like you think back to when all there was the yellow pages. Okay, and you had, like, as you get to a section on, say, plumbers, and the plumbers who could have the big ad on the first page, everyone was called AAA plumbers, or so it would be right at the beginning. There's something to that, because you just go to that section in plumbers. Okay, there's the big first ad that's cost the most. The company that has the most to pay for that can be there. That can really help. But still, if you don't have the largest budget, you can still compete by having your ads optimized, so they're going to really be competitive, and you're still going to get, still going to be shown. And but the response time is so crucial that if it's phone calls, make sure you always have people there to answer the phones, and if there's form submissions coming in, get back as soon as possible, because that way your Google Ads are going to really help the most when you have those other things in place.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, as you all know, like, we've got our conversion architecture division here, which is, they handle all of the after the click stuff. And even me knowing fully what they do, I always think of that as like, changing up a landing page and, crafting the web side of things. You rarely think about, or at least I rarely think about, the customer service aspect of that too. Like, that comes after the click as well. So that's a really interesting point, is like, if you have a small budget and you can't necessarily outbid them for that top spot, you can sure outwork them and, outperform on that customer service side to get business as well. It's an interesting thought. So you talked about
actually-
yellow
Don't forget
pages.
to create the GMB.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Don't forget to create the
Definitely.
GMB directly. Yeah, we forgot that. just like
We
directly
actually
create
audited
the
one of
GMP.
the clients who was doing really good on Google My Business, and they had their local campaigns and everything. And so they were getting like about $5 a lead and they were actually roofing company. And so they were getting their leads at $5 a conversion, and then their Google Ads is $5 a CPC. So there is a huge difference between your local campaigns and your Google Ads campaign. So what you're getting on local campaigns, you cannot ever expect the same results from Google, you know. So there's this one difference also, because there's a limitation in you control. You cannot, you can't control how many people you can show your local ads. You cannot control so many things. You can't expand that strategy. It is upon Google to show like, okay, I think this is a relevant search. I'm going to show your ad now. So there is a huge difference between local and search ads.
Gotcha. Yeah, Nick, we could talk about this real quick. I know we've got some questions coming in, but you mentioned the yellow pages, and that just took me back a few months ago when you mentioned out of placement ads. What's going on with that? Has that happened?
Oh, the out of home placements.
Out of home, yeah, out of home placements.
Yeah,
That's what it
I
was.
haven't checked into that recently, but it's something. I mean, it's a really exciting concept where, and I think with Performance Max, this all ties into Performance Max, where so for out of home placements are like billboards, or if you go like to a shopping mall, you'll see like they have the digital displays which change every few seconds, and may even include like cinema advertising and digital billboards. And so you imagine running those campaigns, and you'd have to have a very sophisticated, large budget, focus group type market research method to, analyze the effectiveness of those campaigns previously. But now, if Google starts incorporating this for regular advertisers, what this means is that you can run a Performance Max campaign, which will run on search, the search ads. It'll run on shopping ads if you're e-com. It will run on YouTube. It will run on display, and it will run on these out of home display placements. So connecting that, because as we know, Google knows everything about us. If we're going to a shopping mall, and Google's going to know that. Okay, if we're walking near to one of these display advertisements, Google is going to know that in one way or another, through Gmail, through if we're texting, through the calls we're making, through using Google Docs, using Google Maps to get to the mall, all of these things. So it will, in theory, be able to link the effectiveness of this out-of-home advertisement to the final purchase, going down to when people are making a brand search, when they see the ads online, and then also seeing these outdoor placements. So this has never been done, linking this out-of-home advertising all the way through to the online advertising. It's mind-blowing, but
yeah,
that seems to be where Google's heading.
Besides, unless you have, as what Nick said, unless you don't have like a good budget, there is another scenario where this can be beneficial. For example, like let's say that I have a restaurant at a very popular street, and I know it's about the lunch time, and I want to show my ads to the people who are around that area, like 30% discount, walk in now. So location-specific placements are going to be so beneficial. For example, like any other time-based, with low budget, would be a very good test. For example, there is a school next door, and you can choose that place, and there are kids on holiday. You can do specific targeting for that specific area, and that can be really beneficial. Best used, and again, it's going to be a test definitely for small budget.
It's crazy to think
Yeah,
of the possibilities with that.
right, and that's the thing. Yeah, that the having a smaller budget, making that available to businesses that are not a corporation, like a multinational corporation. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
You're given the
the
tools, you
thought
just
of
need to be creative.
yeah, the thought of like what you were saying, the example of like a restaurant, like I don't know, I just think about going downtown here in Oklahoma City. And if I were a small restaurant, locally owned, but I had some money to spend on ads and I could do this and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I can run this time-based ad that's like today only 20% off your lunch or something, and it's just placed in downtown to drive the traffic that's already there. Like you could get crazy with this, I bet.
Like
If
there are
it develops
football
that way.
games that go on. You can target specific. I mean, there's endless possibilities. You just need to be creative to think those scenarios. You have the tools and make the best of it.
That's cool. Well, let's get to some of these questions. So about this, what do I do if my campaign is not using the whole daily budget? My keyword search volume, 1K and above.
It depends what bidding strategy you're using before we can answer here. So if the search volume is 1K and above, and it also would be interesting, there's a lot of factors that could be affecting this. So Google's, if you have a target ROAS or target CPA, and Google is not hitting the daily budget, it's likely going to be that your target CPA and your target ROAS is you need to relax that or try taking it off so it can hit the daily budget. If you're using manual bidding, it's going to be that your bids aren't high enough. And you can also look at your column for search impression share lost and have a look how much is lost due to rank or how much is lost due to budget. If you have, say, 30 to 40% impression share lost due to budget, which unlikely if the campaign's not spending, then that's an easy fix. But if it's due to rank, then it's going to be due to things like your ads, how relevant they are, and how well you're writing those ads to match the keywords. So, because if the ads aren't written if the ads are poorly written, then Google's not going to show them as much, or they're not going to get as much clicks, and then the campaign's not going to spend its full budget.
I think we had a follow-up question. I think that was in response to that, which is exactly kind of what you asked right off the bat: is what bidding strategy are you using?
Yeah.
So yeah, so you were right on. So what about this? Which niche is more in demand in the US right now to target for PPC marketing? Am I the only one in the US?
Well, I'm close. Ollie is in the US.
Yeah.
Well, Ollie's exotic. He's sort of half the time in the US, half the time in the US, half the time in New York and Miami, and half the time in Belgium.
One leg in
exotic,
Belgium,
yeah.
one in New York.
Yeah.
So which niche is more demanding in US right now? So when you say more in demand, I think that's what the question is. So more demanding or more in demand? I think the question is more in demand.
I think it's the platform, which particular platform is popular in PPC.
What niche? Okay, so is that like, we're talking like personal injury law, e-commerce? That's a really good question. I think they all are, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think every niche. I think the question is, if you're looking to niche down, that can be a good idea. What niche do you want to go into? And in terms of being in demand, here's why so many Google Ads is so in demand right now because of all the changes that have happened. And as we were talking about at the beginning, some of the features that have been updated, a lot of advertisers who were doing their ads in-house before are just like, we can't keep up with all these changes. It's, what we were doing before, we knew how to do that. Now with all these match type changes and AI and Performance Max, they're just like, how do we do this? So that means Google advertisers who are up to date know how to use these new features are going to be in demand. So, and that's for any niche.
Yep.
Well, hopefully that answers those questions. If anybody else has any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Any thoughts on anything we've talked about? At least 3 of the 4 of us can answer them. I'll be the odd man out, but I'll throw in my opinion if I can. So what else has been going on with Google? I know we briefly talked about location targeting, that was kind of a topic, I think, last month when we all got together. Is anything new developed there?
Silence.
I'll take that as a no.
Rachna,
No,
we were
nothing's
talking
developed.
about it earlier.
I was looking at my LinkedIn. I'm so sorry. Daniel,
All right.
what was the question?
No, we
Nice.
just location targeting was something that we talked about, I think, a month or 2
Oh,
ago. Yeah. And has there been any new developments there since then?
Location targeting is just that Google has pulled back on that people interested in. There was a bit of a confusion that you can go beyond the location targeting that you've selected, which was a default and also recommended by Google. And that's where most of the budgets were going for most of the campaigns. And so right now, I'm not really sure exactly when that is going to be rolled out, but they're definitely taking away that option where you can target the location, target the audience who is interested in the location that you have selected. For example, like I've selected Canada, and then I can, my ads can be shown to a person who's sitting in Ecuador, but the person is interested in Canada because they looked for the capital of Canada one day on Google. So, that's where that setting, I think, it's good that it's going away because you'll have more control on it.
Cool. We got another question coming. It's not surprising, but this one's about AI. I feel like we can't ever go through a show without talking AI these days. So what is everyone's thoughts on what search ads will look like in the future with all of the AI wars happening?
Yeah, well, I think that comes back to, we were touching on this earlier about a keywordless future, and it's quite possible. I mean, you can already create keywordless campaigns with Dynamics search ads, and Performance Max, you're not actually entering the keywords. So this is where we may be heading. You create a campaign, you put in a bunch of keywords as signals, but I think they're not going to work. And I can't prove this, but it's just my 2 cents of where I think we're heading. You put in a bunch of keywords related to your product, what people might be searching for. Google says, oh, that's very nice. Thank you for those keywords. Now we're going to go off and do our own thing. But thank you for the little hint of where you want us to go. We're actually going to go and take over from here. So where previously you would put a keyword in, that's how Google will trigger. You had a lot of control. So that's where I think we're heading. I think the keywords are going to change from being keywords to more like signals. It's like saying to Google, hey, go and start here for people who search for these things. And then it's going to go, oh, jolly good, I'll go do that. But just know I'm going to go way beyond those. And, your nice little keywords there, thank you. But I'm going to do much better.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's going to operate a lot like, something like Chat GPT, where you give it a prompt, it does the work.
I mean, it's just it's mind blowing. You think about it, and this is the thing. As long as Google has a goal, which is an event that happens basically in a web browser where somebody makes a purchase, cool. That's the event it wants, and then it's going to track all the different journeys to get to that across the internet, and possibly now even outside of the internet for out of home advertising. And it sees that goal, and it's just going to learn. It's a learning machine. How to get there, okay? And then you think of AI creating the ads, creating the images. I think that's where we're heading. So I think it's all going to be about putting the right inputs in, really understanding the customers, and guiding the algorithms. Algorithm, I think a great word I love. It's like somebody said, we're not going to be media buyers. We're turning into algorithm jockeys. So we're kind of riding the algorithm and just steering it in the direction we want it to go.
Yeah.
Anthony followed up, talking more the SERP layout, since all these search engines will be incorporating AI chat into the mix. So in theory, user behavior will change to use chat and not click ads or even SEO listings.
Great point. I think I'm pretty sure I saw on Twitter today, somebody had posted the Bing, like the Chat GPT incorporated in Bing, the search engine, and there were ads in the response. So I'm going to try and find it. But if you search Bing Chat GPT ads, you might find the screenshot. But it has somebody answering, like asking a question, and then there's an answer, like Chat GPT answer, but there's a little ad next to certain points. And I think it might have even be for an airline. So it's got a little ad written next to one of the sentences, and you can click on that ad. And so I know where it is.
Yeah.
If you search, if you ever heard of a guy called Eric Seufert, and he just posted, there you go. Anthony said he's seen the Bing chat ad. So yeah.
It's weird. It's like what I'm worried about is less real estate. Shouldn't be worried about it, but it's less real estate for ads. So when you don't have any more top, let's say now we are fighting for a top 3 and top of the SERP, but if you do through a prompt and you have only one result, first the cost is going to increase. What about the normal competition, like a normal top 3 that we had? That's what I'm wondering about from ChatGPT answer or whatever, Bard or what. They don't want to lose that. Yeah, go on.
The thing with the search engines, and this is really what it comes down to, is Google only exists because they developed this search engine that the whole world uses, and it's turned into a verb. And that's what they need, people using that search engine to have their business. So it's the user experience, and I still think that it's the percentage of searches for people who are specifically looking for something to buy or look for a solution on Google search is so minuscule compared to the amount of searches that happen every day. So people searching for answers to things like, how many grains of beach are there on the average beach? Sorry, how many grains of sand are there on the average beach? Just silly things, whatever, just searching for information or serious information, like, maybe just searching for doing research, interested in something, or how to, make a certain recipe, things like that. It's informational searches are the vast majority of searches on Google. The proportion of people searching for something to buy, which is where we go after them with the Google ads, is much smaller. So you don't really need a Chat GPT when you're searching for the latest, Nike men's sneakers. Even if it's that specific, you're going to go and put that into Google search, and you don't need ChatGPT to give you an answer on that. You just know what you want. And that's where search engines are always just going to be superior to an AI chat, because when people know what they want, they don't need ChatGPT to have some clever answer for them. They just want to be like, oh, there you go. Nike's selling those shoes directly from their site, or I can get them from Amazon. Oh, cool, there's my options. Go shopping. Now, I think it's more for things like those longer tail, those questions, what's the best way to add another room to my house? Okay, ChatGPT, if it's incorporated AIs into the search engine, it's going to say, well, here are your options. You can do this, but you've got to consider this. And so it's really, that's the difference. So
that's where the SEO is going to be really important. Like we are already seeing how important SEO is if you're running PPC. And so after the chat, the AI bots do come along with the search engine. I think it's going to be even more important to have SEO done on the website. So you're capturing that top of the funnel audience, because they're still in the research phase. As what you, Nick said, that, how to add a room to my, I forgot the question or what it was, but they're still looking to make a decision. They're in the research phase. They'll end up buying, right? Something, raw material, or a person who can build that room, they will end up buying. And so they are still in the research phase. And if you're able to capture those people in the research phase, then you can always go after them and, convert them. So SEO is going to be very important moving forward. If you don't have a good website, you're not ranking on the top, it's going to be really difficult after the chat AI bots to come up.
Nick, you mentioned one of the ads that you saw being for an airline, which is a perfect segue into Fazil's question, which is there any special strategy of PPC for travel agencies?
Yes. Is that answers the question? No, I'm just being so no, of course not. Definitely. So the travel industry is, as we know, very competitive. And just as disclosure, I don't have a lot of experience in running ads for travel, but the feed that you're going to have is going to be drawn from the inventory. Like, for example, for hotels, the inventory for hotels is going to be coming from a certain feed, and those prices are going to be dynamic. So somebody searching for a certain hotel in a certain city, you've got Booking.com, you've got Priceline, you've got Kayak, you've got even Google offering prices for those trying to compete, and they get they get the commissions. But so setting up your Google ads, if you're the company who's offering those hotel rooms, or it's even for an individual hotel, you can set up a feed with basically your available rooms that's going to be being shown based on your availability, based on cancellations, based on if it's say it's like 4th of July weekend in the USA, things get really, really, really busy, prices go up. So things will adjust based on all of those factors. So yeah, definitely some very advanced features for travel that you can implement. I just don't have a lot of hands-on experience there.
With travel agencies, I've worked a bit. So recently what had happened was like Google came into the picture of it and started showing the travel agency's website plus the other OTAs like Booking.com, Agora, and all that. So only Google has that leverage where Google can show what's the price for a particular hotel on their website, and on what's the price for that same hotel on Booking.com or on Agora. And that interface, that leverage to show this comparison is not with anybody else. Like Booking cannot do that. Booking.com can't do that. Only Google can do this. So if you are actually using Google Ads, and you're showing your ads on the top, bring that traffic back to your original website, because that's where first party data is always going to help you. Because one reason, your prices are always going to be lower as compared to any other OTA, because they charge commission. And so you have a better leverage on that. So if you are planning to use Google Ads, I think using Google Ads to drive more traffic towards your website, that is something that's really going to be helpful if you have a travel agency.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. So we're coming up to an hour, guys. Google team, Googlers, if you will. What else is going on here? Anything you want to discuss Google related, or things you've seen in any accounts that we can share, or just cool stories, anything like that?
Not really Google related, but I don't know why I'm so excited, because it's coming from my generation of people searching things on TikTok. And then TikTok search ads is something that I'm so excited about, and how it will look like in my experience with Google Ads, and try to test things on TikTok search ads.
Unless it's banned.
Yeah,
the US,
yeah.
No, nowadays. Yeah,
in India also it's banned. But yeah, we have
Hang on a second. Whoa.
Yeah.
Is this news? Is TikTok actually banned in the US now?
I don't think it got
they're
banned.
talking about it.
No.
They're talking about it.
They've been going through all the congressional and stuff lately.
Yeah. You can check the Congress last week. It was really woo.
Yeah,
it
wasn't looking good. So we'll see. But it is interesting that they're introducing actual search ads. Like TikTok is probably one of the most underutilized not search engines when you think about it. Like you think about the content on TikTok is so much how to do this. Here's how I did this.
Yeah.
Like recipes, stuff like that. So it's really
a
cool idea.
And how this has organically grown. I mean, I've, as I've gone visited certain places in the last few years, I've asked friends like, have you ever been to this place? And they said, yeah. I said, look, to find the good things, go on TikTok and just search like things to do in this area. But you realize that's just an adoption from it's. I really do think it's a generational thing. But the content that comes up, there's people relating to that short form content, and it is actually more exciting. There's a place here in Ecuador I went to called Baños, which is just a spectacular place with sort of this town surrounded by these mountains and waterfalls, and it's amazing. But sure enough, I said, what should I do there? And the experience when I went to TikTok and said things to do in Baños, it was so exciting. You saw like these videos of people in the waterfalls going like these bike rides down these mountains, and you actually see it right away. Whereas if I go to Google search, like sure enough, TripAdvisor comes up, standard things. It's not as exciting.
Yeah, so, you gotta click the images tabs. Like, oh, okay, there's pictures. Oh, these are real ones. These are stock photos. Okay, let me go to videos, see if anything comes up, and then that's a whole process to search on Google for that. TikTok makes it real quick.
Right, and you imagine taking that step further with products. Say, there's some kind of cool new shoes, sneakers, and you search for that. Sneakers. You search for that on TikTok, and then you have the content creators saying, "Oh, I've got these new shoes," and like it's close-ups and what they look like straight away. So I think it's an interesting space. So search on TikTok. Thanks for bringing that up, Rashni, because it's maybe that's a whole topic for another episode. But we're kind of getting out of time. Yeah,
that's cool. We'll definitely do another episode on that. I think we need to. It's overdue. We'll make sure that Nick, we have some good TikTok dance videos of you to show everybody by the time we do that, right?
Well, yeah, I'm up for that challenge.
All right, guys. Well, we're at an hour. I think it's a good time to wrap up. So thank you all for joining today. Everybody watching, thank you as well. If you want to learn more about Tier 11, go over to tier11.com. You can check us out there. If you're interested in working with us, there's a big pink button you can press to fill out a form and submit your info to us. And if you would, we'd love your support here. If you could share, like, comment, subscribe to our channels here. We go live with the Customer Acquisition Show every week, Friday at 10 a.m. Central. So we'd love to have you tune in every week. And yeah, we're happy you were here. Hope you enjoyed it. Free to reach out to us, and we will see you next week. Everybody, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.